Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tilting Ground Untitled Notre Dame USC Football Podcast. I'm USC fan Michael Muto, and I'm here with the hardest working man at UHND.com, Notre Dame expert Greg Flamong. Greg, it's been forever. How are you?
It's been what? It's the 21st today? 22nd? What's
22nd.
What day is today? 22nd. So it's been 13 days. It's almost 2 weeks.
Almost 2 weeks
since we did the thing.
Well, there was a lot going on. We wanted to make sure we had full information on all the players.
Well, there wasn't,
and coaches.
I didn't expect there to be, and then all of a sudden, and crazily there was, and we planned to do this last week, and I said, well, there's kind of too much going on, so we need to wait a little bit.
Let's hold back, have full information for everyone. So let's start with the players. I feel like that's the easiest one. We know who's going where, who's going what. Let's start with Notre Dame.
Things are happening, Michael.
Who's gone at Notre Dame?
So I'm trying
to say gone and not going to the NFL draft.
Exactly. So on the last podcast, what did we talk about? We talked about did we talk about Josh Adams and Equanimeous St. Brown?
I don't think it was official yet.
Okay, well they're not. They're going to the NFL.
Equanimeous was gone. We knew that.
Oh, we talked about it then because Josh Adams was like the next day.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're gone. The big news on that front, on the positive side, is that Jerry Tillery and Tavon Coney are coming back. So that is
great for the defense.
It's fantastic. I mean, it's like the leading tackler and their best defensive lineman. And then there was another defensive lineman who everyone thought was going to just like kind of, I don't know if he was going to grad transfer or just like stop playing football, but he decided to play again. So he was their other starting defensive tackle. So the defense should be, at least on paper, they should be excellent next season.
I feel like an experienced defensive line is a plus in college football.
They have like most of the two deep back on defensive line. They have Coney back. They have Tranquil back. They have their entire two deep back in the secondary. They got some fun freshmen coming in. They should be good. That's the good part. The defense, very good news. Conversely, the offense, let's see, 4 guys were kicked off the team.
Now, who was kicked off? They didn't say why, correct?
Well, we know why Kevin Stepherson was kicked off the team.
True.
Because he was,
yes.
And we know CJ Holmes. So Kevin Stepherson, he was kicked off the team because he got arrested twice, apparently. He got arrested.
We discussed this pre-Citrus Bowl, right?
Yes. So he got arrested for shoplifting, and he got arrested for driving either under the influence of weed or just possessing weed. And he might have had a suspended license as well.
He was already in the doghouse.
He already missed like the first 4 games of last season. So he will not be a part of the Notre Dame football program for the duration. And then then CJ Holmes was caught up in he was a freshman running back. He got caught up in the shoplifting episode. So he was dismissed from the football team. Backup running back Deion McIntosh was dismissed from the football team after he was suspended for the bowl game. And backup defensive lineman Brandon Tiassum was dismissed from the football team for I don't know what.
And he's now grad transferring.
Yeah, so now he's
put a positive spin on it.
Yeah, but he's grad transferring after next season. So he's going to graduate from Notre Dame and then go somewhere.
Okay. So Notre Dame had a pretty deep stock of running backs, and now they don't.
And now they do not. So they had 5, and now they have 3, counting the freshman early enrollee Jameer Smith.
Oh, okay.
And look, I like him, but he wasn't the type of person that when they signed him, I was like, oh, he's definitely going to be someone who's going to push for time next year. And so as it stands right now, they have 3 scholarship running backs. Just to put it in perspective, of where that's a problem is last season, McIntosh entered if you would have asked me, hey, Greg, what do you think Deion McIntosh's over-under carries on the entire season will be prior to the season starting? I would have put that number around 5.5. And I probably would have taken the under on that. He ended up with 65 carries. Okay.
He had a really big game, right?
He had a couple big games. He had a big
Off the
game.
top of my head, I don't remember who was
He
against.
had a big game against North Carolina. He had a big run against NC State. He had a good second half against Michigan State. I mean, he played in games. Like, he was 65 carries. He scored 5 touchdowns. And, and so then you got Dexter Williams, you got Tony Jones Jr., and they were both banged up at times last year. And Josh Adams is gone now.
And Brian Kelly hates Dexter Williams for some reason.
Hates him. I mean, you know what, though? In hindsight, maybe he just wanted him rested for his senior
He knew he'd be the star.
for his senior season when he needs all the carries. So, yeah, big problem. It's not good. And then you lose Equanimeous St. Brown at receiver. And then you lose Kevin Stepherson. So your top 2 receivers are gone. I'm not super worried about that. I feel like they have enough players to, fill in somewhere. I mean, look, EQ is good, but you're only as good as you play, and he didn't play that great.
He did lead the team in receptions.
His production, they can find somewhere else. I mean, he led the team in the receptions with 32 or something?
Correct.
Let me just look.
I think it's 32.
It's 33, actually.
Oh, he got one in the bowl game, I guess.
Yeah, 33. He averaged 2.5 catches and 40 yards a game. They can replace that. They will find it. So, that's what's going on. What else are we missing here?
Well, I mean, all the seniors are obviously gone, but we knew that earlier. We knew that all year, I guess.
The offensive line coach.
What's his name? I always get it wrong. What's his name?
Harry Heathstand.
Is now the Bears offensive line coach?
Yeah. That was not cool. That was not my favorite thing.
They must have paid him a lot of money because it's close to home.
I think so. From what I gathered from listening to everyone, all the beat people who are really close to the program, is he came from the Bears and wanted to end his career in the NFL, but he just needed the right situation. And I guess the Bears wanted him last year, but he said, I don't want any part of that poop show that you guys have going on over there. So he was just waiting for a better situation. And then they got, a new coach and the new staff and everything. And so then he decided to go to the NFL. So it's just kind of...
He's a real Clancy Pendergast.
I guess so.
Just waiting for his time to come back to the league.
Yeah, I guess. So, it wasn't like Elko in the sense that it was like a betrayal. I think Notre Dame knew this is how it was going to go eventually. It's just hard to replace him because he's one of their better coaches. And
I feel like your position coaches can go at any time, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, that's look, the guy went to the NFL. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So people, all the players loved him. He had a really good reputation around college football, period.
Look at the results. They got a ton of pros in the league.
Exactly. He's going to have 2 first-round picks this year, too.
That specific position of offensive line.
Right. So
he's gotten replaced yet?
They don't have a guy. He has not been replaced yet. There's the O-line coach at Boston College.
Oh, okay.
No, Boston College. Justin Fry. People think he's a candidate. And then they had a guy from Wisconsin who, I guess, from what I gather, he was the offensive line coach for a long time, went to the NFL for a spell or some other program, and was doing offensive line there. Then wanted to go back to Wisconsin, but then they had already had an offensive line coach, but they wanted him on the staff, and I can't remember his name, but they wanted him on the staff somewhere, so they have him coaching linebackers. So he might do it.
Okay.
So I don't know. I guess that's fine. Like, look, Boston College and Wisconsin, right? Like
those are good teams for running.
Those are good running teams, especially Wisconsin.
Or blocking, I guess.
Yeah. And then they hired a safeties coach.
Who is?
Today. Terry Joseph.
And what happened to the old safeties coach?
Well, he was Mike Elko. So Mike Elko coached
okay.
the safeties. Yeah. So,
got it.
So with him, they needed to get two people, basically.
Terry Joseph used to play baseball?
Did he? I don't know.
Did I read that? I could have swore I read that today.
I'll look it up. I know he's coached at a bunch of schools. He was at North Carolina last year. He was at Tennessee. He was at Texas A&M. Former outfielder Terry Joseph. So there you have it.
My research pays off.
You showed me.
Well, after not knowing Mike Elko left, I feel like I really had to step my podcast game up.
You did. That was not good, Michael. So is that it? Is that the rundown?
I think so.
Is that the rundown?
Did we know who the new defensive coordinator? It was linebackers coach, right? Yeah, we knew that.
Yeah, Clark Lee.
He jumps up.
Or maybe that wasn't confirmed when we potted last. I don't think it was, actually.
And the other concern was Chip Long was going to become the offensive coordinator at Alabama, which is now not the case.
So that's the offensive coordinator, and he was going to – I guess they offered him the co-offensive coordinator job.
And he said, I'm a singularity.
And he said, no, I want to call my own plays at Notre Dame, which –
there's some questionable truth behind that statement, I think. Whatever.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Would you consider going from Notre Dame, the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame, calling your own plays, to be the co-offensive coordinator at Alabama and maybe not calling your own plays? Would you consider that a lateral move or something of a demotion?
First initial response was, I'd rather call my own plays. But then when I think about it for a second, I think Lane Kiffin, head coach at FAU, Steve Sarkisian, offensive coordinator in the NFL, and then what's his name, Brian Daboll, offensive coordinator in the NFL. So maybe being in Alabama was the better choice, but I understand the allure of calling your own plays.
But the co-OC part of it. So that would be my question, right? Is do you think the next job after that is a head coaching job? Because that to me,
or the NFL.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but he's like, I don't know. He's only 30. He's young. He's like 34.
I think it's a wash, honestly.
You think so?
And if Notre Dame blows up, then that's a win. Because Alabama's already supposed to be good. So if anything goes wrong, you're in trouble. Whereas anything that happens at Notre Dame is a positive for your resume. So I think that Notre Dame, it's a wash.
Okay. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I'd almost rather be at Bama.
If they didn't tank down the stretch, I mean, he might have been a head coach this year.
Who?
Chip Long. If Notre Dame didn't fall apart.
Maybe. I mean, that's a good point. It's hard for me to.
That's all they would have talked about was this offense is churning up 250 rushing yards a game. Maximizing all their talent. Look at this offensive line. Blah blah blah.
He's super young.
It would have been a real conversation, and then they goose egged at Miami, so it didn't matter.
That's true. Yeah.
It's like, look what he did with first-year quarterback Brandon Wimbush. It just could have been the story. But
that would have needed to play out a lot different.
And it didn't.
Yeah.
but
yeah. I guess that's it for the moving and the shaking.
Okay. Fair enough. I looked at the Senior Bowl roster today because I'm a big fan of the Senior Bowl. One Notre Dame guy, tight end Durham Smythe. I mean, I guess when you're a first round offensive lineman, you don't really need to play in the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know why they would do that. There's nothing in it for them.
That makes sense. But I could have thought, maybe somebody else. I don't know who. I guess they didn't lose anybody. So
well, let me think. It can't be Josh Adams because he's a junior.
Right.
Can't be EQ because he's a junior. Niles Morgan.
Maybe Niles Morgan. That could have helped him out.
Actually,
maybe he wasn't invited though.
Actually, well, you know what's interesting about that is, like, I mean, obviously there probably aren't that many. There's probably more little middle linebackers than there are tight ends. But Niles Morgan's like a 2-year starter at middle linebacker at Notre Dame. I mean,
captain, sort of.
Yeah, last year, at 92 plus 90, he had 182 tackles the last 2 seasons. I mean, I don't know. What kind of guys make the Senior Bowl?
I don't know. Maybe he opted out. Maybe he thought he's too good.
That's definitely not what happened. That can't be what happened. 6 plus 13 tackles for loss. I mean, I don't know. I would think I'd get him an invite. Whatever.
He's the number 19 ranked linebacker by USA Today. And this list is from December 11th.
I mean, I'm not totally going to go to bat for him because I didn't think he was that great. Played a ton of snaps, though. But let's put it this way. I would expect that Tavon Coney would play in this game next year.
Okay.
Barring health.
I mean, if Tavon Coney has another 100 tackle season, he may not need to.
True story. I heard on a podcast today that that Tavon Coney played 200 less snaps than Niles Morgan, and finished with 24 more tackles.
Well, that's maximizing your time on the field.
This dude had 116 tackles and 200 less snaps than Niles Morgan. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, they're talking. That's I don't know, 100 and what? If you add the snaps, I mean, what are you looking at? 140 tackle season? My goodness.
Good for him.
He made 116 tackles and he played no third downs. Unbelievable. What production.
So it's pretty. Get that coverage up. Never come off the field.
I'm really glad he's coming back. God. He's the kind of guy where it's dude, I need to know where you're at all times. I need to know exactly what your plans are. Text it to me. Let me know. I'm gonna have you on Find My iPhone all the time. I'm just gonna make sure you're making good choices.
We don't want him getting kicked off the team.
No, we don't, because he was part of the crew that was pulled over before 2016.
That's just a case of boys being boys, I think.
I'm saying, but he needs to don't have another case like that.
Everybody gets one.
Okay.
Depending on what it is. But for the most part, everybody gets one.
Apparently CJ Holmes only gets one.
Well, you don't know what he did.
He got shoplifting.
That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe he did something else that we don't know about.
Maybe.
All right. Any other fun Notre Dame news and notes?
I'll probably think of something later.
Towards the end. Okay. All right. We'll come back. We'll come back to it. Don't worry. I'll wrap it back up for both teams at the end. I got a little something.
Well, I have a question though.
All
right. Who is number was Rasheem Green number 94?
You're gonna kill me because I don't remember.
Let me check.
All season long, I could not remember what number he was. That's a real thing. I'm not making it up because Greg asked me the question.
That's funny. I happened to find the person that you couldn't.
I swear, all season long, the defensive line, I would get the numbers.
It is
94.
Yeah. So I guess Quentin Nelson was doing an interview today.
Mm-hmm.
or I don't know if it was today, but recently, and they asked him if he ever got someone to quit. And he said, yes, I have gotten someone to quit. And he played for USC, but I'm not going to tell you his name. And everyone was like, I mean,
if you watch 4 defensive linemen,
if you watch the USC game, the answer is if you watch the USC game, the answer is
all 11 guys who played defense.
94. So
that's great. Good for him. Good way to leave early then.
Yeah.
That's what you want to hear about the number 1 guard prospect in the NFL, talking about you leaving early.
There
and quitting during games.
There it is. All right.
Cool.
All right. So
well, speaking of Rasheem Green, when we last talked, he had not declared. He is going pro, like I just mentioned. So according to Quentin Nelson, maybe he shouldn't. I guess that's not fair because Quentin Nelson didn't say he wasn't good. He just said he quit.
I mean, look, here's the thing. Okay. Here's the thing about quitting in football. All right. Football's hard, man. And when you're playing and it's like, it's 42-14 and it's like late in the fourth quarter and they're running the ball with their starters. Not that Notre Dame's trying to rub it in or whatever, but
it's just happening. It's just,
at some point, it's like, obviously I'm not playing as hard as I was in the first quarter. Like, we're going to lose.
And you're a D lineman.
Exactly. Like
if you're a corner, like you can't quit if you're a corner because you're just running around, like hanging out in the back.
It's like, I'm glad that you are all fired up, guy who's up by 35. Like, I'm tired, like I'm getting beat up and we're getting our butts whooped. Like, who else quit in that game is number 4, Hawkins.
Chris Hawkins, senior Chris Hawkins.
And he's a captain. It's like these things happen. Like, it's not even I don't even see it as like as a bad thing or like some mark against someone's character. Like, every football player ever in a big blowout. It's like, dude, my senior year in high school, in my last game in the semifinals of the playoffs, we're getting beat 40-7. And I'm going to tell you this, I wasn't out there flying around like I was at the beginning of the game. Like, at some point, it's like, man, it's over. Like, it's over. And it's just human nature. Like, I can't just keep going the way I was. So, it's nice to talk about people quitting and stuff. And it's something you hear a lot, but
context is important.
Yeah, like let's be fair to these kids. Like, it's not like a guy quit, in
the first quarter.
It's down 7, like late in the fourth, and you need a big stop,
Because that's happened. I mean, let's be fair. That has happened.
Yeah, it has. So, Anyway, but it's a fun anecdote, nevertheless.
It is. Thank you for bringing that up. Good segue, too.
No problem. It was a good segment.
It works perfectly. Yes. Let's see. So we knew Sam Darnold's gone. He signed an agent. He has a couple agents now. Ronald Jones, we knew was gone. Deontay Burnett, we knew was gone. Clay Helton tried to talk Deontay Burnett out of not turning pro by telling him he'd be a low-round draft pick. I only say dicey because, how did that come out?
What do you mean?
I don't know. I just feel like it's weird. It's a weird anecdote to have come. It's like when Pete Carroll tried to sandbag Mark Sanchez.
Where did you hear it from?
The Twitter. I don't remember who.
The Twitter machine?
Probably.
Well, is it
probably Scott Wolf.
Oh,
he's my favorite.
Okay.
But he's very reliable. I find him tend to not be wrong.
Where does Scott Wolf think that came from?
It had to come from Helton, right?
Just
to because he felt bad because he couldn't keep him.
If he thinks he made a mistake. He has to leave, though.
Yeah, he has to leave.
Because he's losing his quarterback. Like, he's never going to duplicate the production. It's never going to happen.
And the best receiver in the country's showing up.
the best receiver in the country showing up, and you got to expect that Tyler Vaughns is going to make a big leap next year. So
And Michael Pittman.
So like his numbers are bound to fall.
Which is, yeah.
It's like you look at it in a vacuum. It's like, well, you're going to be a low round pick. It's like, yeah, but I'm never going to catch 90 balls again.
I'll be a no round pick next year. So
exactly, like I'm not getting any bigger, and I'm not getting any faster, and I'm about to catch 50 balls.
And my quarterback's getting a lot crappier.
Exactly. You can't have him stay. It's like Josh Adams. Like, dude, I understand. Like, Josh Adams has a lot of flaws, and he's not, a great running back. It just from the pro standpoint, but A, he's gotten hurt a bunch, and B, when's he going to play with a better line?
A brand new line. It's like, come on.
Yeah, like
maybe a brand new quarterback,
like, dude,
brand new wide receivers. Get out of here.
Two of the linemen that blocked for him are going to the NFL, and they're going in the first round. Like, he has to leave.
So yeah,
it's not about where you're getting drafted. Sometimes it's about like, how am I gonna make myself better?
Exactly. Agreed, wholeheartedly. So some good news out of Trojan land: Cam Smith staying, Toa Lobodon staying, Iman Marshall staying.
That was a question.
I mean, just like you're saying, how am I going to make myself better? I don't know.
Iman Marshall?
You never know.
I feel like he could.
He got hurt. He was hurt.
You know what he could do, honestly?
Play safety?
Yes. That's the answer. That's how you make yourself better.
Well, with Chris Hawkins gone, he has a little more room to play.
I feel like you have Jack Jones, and they probably recruited some people, right?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a number one corner from Long Beach Poly or Sarah or, the huge coming through the pipeline.
Yeah, man. Move to safety.
Because that's where he's going to play,
allegedly. Is Marvell Tell coming back?
Yep, Marvell Tell's coming back.
Oh, my favorite person.
So that could be that. I mean, Jack Jones, All-American, Marvell Tell, Iman Marshall, and someone else at corner, or Iman Marshall at some corner safety hybrid and someone else at safety.
Well, I'm just looking at the roster.
We have a bunch of safeties.
Fun fact.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? Who were we just talking about?
Iman Marshall.
Iman Marshall, that's right. No interceptions last year.
They don't throw at him.
They throw at him, Michael.
Well, is it really at you if you're not in the screen when the guy catches the ball?
Now, that is not quite accurate. In his defense, he only played in 11 of the 14 games. But still.
He was hurt at Notre Dame. He was out real quick.
He was.
And the second he went out, that thing turned around. I mean, not that it probably would have mattered, but.
Well, they did give up the second touchdown was against his backup. So.
Yeah. So he gets to stay another year.
He had 10 passes broken up. That's they're throwing at him. Ajini Harris is coming back, right?
He has to. I mean, I can't imagine. The NFL doesn't need him to not catch punts.
Hey.
Yes. Yeah, everybody's coming back. Only 4 guys are leaving early. Chris Hawkins is gone. Uchenna Nwosu's gone, which might hurt. He's playing in the Senior Bowl, if you're keeping score at home. And Josh Fatu, one of the defensive tackle, he's gone.
Nwosu had a great bowl game.
He's good. I don't know what he's going to do in the NFL. I don't know if there's like a position for him.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a good point.
But
he's not very big.
He tries. Like, he's not quitting. Well, I don't know. He sucked against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Which probably doesn't bode well for his NFL.
Everyone's got a bad game.
That's true. That's true. He did good against Ohio State.
It's like Sam Darnold sucked against Notre Dame.
That's true. So yeah, I mean, he was the captain, defensive captain. He'll be missed. Maybe Porter Gustin steps up after being out all of last year.
Yeah,
and takes the place. I don't know. But yeah, the big one, Cam Smith, probably that's the biggest one that's coming back since he started as a freshman. It's 3 years of this nonsense.
Okay.
I imagine they got all the pros have all the tape they need on him. and coming back wouldn't hurt or help. But he's gonna anchor the defense. He seems to make big plays every now and then. I support it.
Good. I mean, look, you always want people to come back who have played, right?
Yeah. Especially if you don't know who's going to take their spot.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like linebacker's a little thin in Southern California.
Middle linebacker?
Just linebacker in general.
Oh, well, I think you're going to get a guy from Mater Dei, so that helps.
Yes.
And you've got this.
They have the number one kid in the nation.
Yeah, I was going to say this freaking true freshman.
Who's going to wear number 55? Yeah, I know.
You big weenie, fucking 15th.
But he may not even play. Who knows? Where's Patika? You can't even see him on game tape.
That's a good point.
Like I don't know. You know me in recruiting, man. It's all fun and games. But what have you done for me lately?
That's a good point.
All right, so USC had some coaching stuff happen, I guess. We knew that offensive quality passing game assistant / quarterback coach Tyson Helton left. That happened before the bowl game. But then running back coach Deland McCullough left. He went to the pros. So
that made some headlines on Notre Dame Twitter.
Oh, I think he's a good recruiter. I believe he's a recruiter.
I think so because I heard about it, and if I heard about it,
yeah, there's a reason.
Yeah,
and I don't think the SC staff is known for their recruiting abilities.
I don't follow a bunch of USC people, so if a Notre Dame or if a USC coach leaving shows up on my timeline, people are talking about it.
Well, you figure they've had good. I don't think he's been here that long. He's been a couple years, but you figure in that span, you got Buck Allen, you got Ronald Jones. I'm missing one person. Who am I missing? Well, Stephen Carr, yeah, that's another one. I think Trey Madden might be kicking around the league somewhere. Man, there's one guy. Who am I forgetting? Oh, Justin Davis. Oh, I think he's also kicking around the league somewhere.
I like him. I always liked him.
He's just a good running back, but good running backs are a dime a dozen.
Yeah, I liked him a lot.
So he left. Don't know who his replacement is yet. Tyson Helton has been replaced by Brian Ellis. That was for the bowl game, but now it's official. He's officially the quarterback's coach, and he might be calling passing plays, which you'd think would make T. Helton mad and would leave, but T. Helton signed some kind of contract extension, so he's still at USC.
T. Martin.
Yep.
Yeah, it was weird. He got that. I saw they signed him to an extension. What team did he interview for? It was like head coach.
The Raiders.
And I was like, that's got to be some sort of a joke.
But so the Raiders are in trouble. This is not USC related. The Raiders are in trouble because they technically, I think they hired Gruden before they actually interviewed T. Martin. So they're in violation of the Rooney Rule. But the Raiders also interviewed T. Martin to be the offensive coordinator.
Oh, I see.
Side note.
Okay.
So that was a possibility.
Okay.
And I skipped a guy. Kerry Colbert is now the tight ends coach.
Kerry Colbert, the receiver?
Mm-hmm. He was an offensive assistant last year.
He was great.
Great Trojan.
He was a great Trojan.
Clutch.
Fact.
But now, I bring up T. Martin for a reason.
Okay.
Did you know that T. Martin is one of the Brady Six, the 6 quarterbacks selected ahead of Tom Brady in the NFL drafts?
I did not.
I did not either until I saw the headline that read, Brady 6 update, T. Martin resigns with USC.
Wow.
And I said, what's that? Anyways, I bring up Tom Brady because he is in the Super Bowl one more time. But I noticed something strange. And that is only one player from both our respective teams is on the roster of the Super Bowl. And I thought that was a little weird because Notre Dame and USC are high-powered teams. They're famous. They recruit well. They're usually pretty good. And neither team really has a good showing. And
wait,
I also thought of something else when I was doing this little thought project.
Well, who is it?
It's Nelson Aguilar.
Oh, right.
And I feel like he's only good now. Like he was a little dicey last year.
Yeah, he was.
But anyways, I was thinking of the Patriots because they are the professional team I follow, and they haven't had a Trojan since Matt Castle, I think, which I also find weird. What do you think, Greg? Coaching is that coaching at the college level? The players aren't being maximized. You know the Notre Dame offensive linemen do well, but some of the defensive guys are all right, I guess. But you'd think you'd see one somewhere on these rosters.
Well, let's see. I know. I mean, if the Vikings had made it, there would have been 3 Notre Dame players,
And at least one USC guy off the top of my head.
one of the Khalils or something.
Oh, I forgot about him. Two. Everson Griffin.
Right. So and they would have been like, you have Kyle Rudolph who scored the first touchdown. You have Harrison Smith at safety. I feel like John Sullivan might be the center for the Vikings too. So that would have been 4. The Vikings have a lot of Notre Dame players.
The cold.
I don't know. It's just, well, like Michael Floyd is on the Vikings and he's from Minnesota. Kyle Rudolph, I want to say he was drafted by him. And Harrison Smith was drafted by him too. Yep. So yeah, so I don't know. Maybe it's
just a weird coincidence.
Yeah, I know there was there were a couple Notre Dame guys on, like Jonas Gray was on the Pats for he ran for 200 yards.
Oh, that's right.
And then they cut him. So they've had a couple. I mean, you were asking me the question today on email, like David Givens,
number 2 all time.
I would have gotten
post-even touchdowns.
I would have gotten it if Tim hadn't emailed earlier, by the way.
With or without the hint?
Yeah. Oh, no. I think – I mean, I might have – I was at work when I saw it the first time, so I didn't have a lot of time to think about it. But I probably needed the hint.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then the Eagles – yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think both teams have players in the NFL enough. It's just
right.
2 particular teams.
All right. So. The Pac-12 is the most represented team in the Super Bowl.
How many is that?
I think it's like 29, and Alabama or SEC has 28.
29 and 28.
Yeah. We know I usually ride for the Pac-12.
You do. That's weird. I don't know. I've never understood people who do the thing with the conference allegiance. I just don't.
Well, I just think they're undervalued. That's all I think. I think that I have to watch these players all year long. So I kind of know who's good, who's not, or what teams are kind of fun and, that kind of stuff. And then it does not translate, I feel, to the mainstream media because the games are on at 11 o'clock at night on the East Coast. So they kind of get lost in the shuffle. I also feel that Pac-12 offenses are normally a little better than the rest of the country, so the defenses are at a disadvantage. So Pac-12 defenses get a little bit of a diss every now and then. So I just think they're undervalued. That's all. That's my Pac-12. That's why I fight for the Pac-12.
I mean, it's probably true. Well, here's the thing that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me is like I don't know why that is. I guess in terms of people are always looking at the Big 12, right? Like I feel like people think the Big 12 is a superior conference to the Pac-12. But I mean, they have Texas.
They're kind of top heavy.
Well, it's just like the state of Texas where they get a lot of the players from. But there are so many good players in California too. That
California buoys the whole Pac-12, really.
Right, that's what I mean. So,
Stanford, USC, and maybe Oregon get the national guys.
Yeah,
and then California kind of picks up the rest for Utah, Arizona. Oh, that's what I forgot when I was talking about coaching changes. The biggest coaching change for USC is that former Texas A&M coach Kevin Sumlin is the new coach at Arizona.
Why is
That's a problem?
Coaching change. Why?
Because that's a problem for you.
Now there's Chip Kelly and Kevin Sumlin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not too thrilled about that.
Why do you not like that?
Well, that's two coaches who off the top are already better than Clay Helton.
You think Kevin Sumlin's better than Clay Helton? I think Chip Long is.
Yeah, I think Kevin Sumlin is. Those Houston teams are good.
Chip Kelly, I should say. Chip Kelly.
Yeah. Those Houston teams were good. He did have Johnny Football and Mike Evans, but, that's good recruiting, I guess. And it kind of fell apart after that, but now he's back with less pressure. And who knows what he can do out in the desert? I feel like that's what they say about every Arizona State coach.
Here's my question. How is he different from Rich Rod? In what way is he different?
That's a good question. Where was Rich Rodriguez coming from? Was he fired from Michigan and he went to Arizona? There might have been something in between.
There might have been a gap in between, but
which is Kevin Sumlin, same thing.
Yeah. See, the difference is Rich Rod had his he had his offense that he ran at West Virginia, which was fine. But then he went to Michigan and tried to do that, and Michigan was it was a bad fit. It's like if Kevin Sumlin tried to take that. It'd be like if Kevin Sumlin tried to take that style to Wisconsin.
Okay, I see. Okay.
It just wouldn't fit. So
you're not going wide open at Wisconsin ever.
Exactly.
It's going to be power running.
Exactly. And Michigan was very opposed. Very opposed. So I feel like they're basically the same. Because if Rich Rod was at Texas A&M with Johnny Manziel and Mike Evans, you could have seen similar results.
Well, here's a question: is Rich Rodriguez a better coach than Clay Helton?
See, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think they're both basically the same.
They're in the same tier.
I think a lot of these head coaches they have good ideas on offense. And when you're like that kind of a guy, right? Like Chip Kelly, right? And Clay Helton and Kevin Sumlin. And I mean, all these guys are Art Briles and
you think your system,
Rich Rod. Yeah. But they're all offensive people. So they sit up in their office and they just draw up offensive schemes, but they're not very good at building teams that are well-rounded. So defensively, they're just kind of a mess. And they're all like that, right? Like USC. And so the trick is, if you're going to be like that, you need to get like someone
who runs their own defense.
Yeah, someone who's great, right? So Bob Stoops was like that, and he had his offense, but then he was a defensive guy himself, but he had Brent Venables, and USC's, they had good defensive coordinators, and then they went away, and then you get Clancy Pendergast, and he's pretty good. So, their defense was a little bit better this year, but the year before, not really.
Right. Dumpster fire.
Right. So it's if you're going to just be an offensive guy, that's great. But look at even Brian Kelly, right?
He needs a defensive guy.
He had his offense, which is fine, but then he had offense was just fine, and it was well and good. It was in 2015, but the defense was trash. So,
do you want to hear another half-baked idea I have about coaching? Not quite.
Sure.
This one isn't fully threshed out. I got a whole summer to do more investigation, but just the premises, I'm concerned that Herm Edwards might be a good delegator. And if the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator at Arizona State are even just remotely good, and he can just kind of tie it all together, Arizona State might be good. I'm still working on it. That's just a fear that's percolating. It's not fully formed yet.
I think
they're swayed the other way.
I think they're going to be terrible.
Okay, thank you.
I think they're going to be awful. I think my prediction is going to be one of the worst hires in college football.
Okay,
he will last 2 seasons
tops.
You can't, like here. Okay, here's the thing.
I don't know, man. He's on TV. The kids may like him. He could recruit. They might buy into that. We win to play the game stuff.
Let me ask you this. Okay, college football players. How do you think they know of Herman Edwards?
TV,
but what on TV?
It's the studio show. Him being in the studio.
See,
cold hard facts.
I think he is the play to win the game guy.
But that's not a bad thing.
I don't think it's a good thing.
Okay.
At all. Because that then your coach, you see him like if you Google Herm Edwards, the first thing that comes up is you play to win the game. If the second or the other things that come up are like his clips from Hard Knocks. And
I feel like he had another one too. Besides, we play to win the games. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
He's a joke guy. So he's basically a character, and you don't want your players thinking that your coach is just kind of a character.
But
right?
But it's just 18-year-old kids who only have to buy it for 3 seasons, and then they're gone, and then it's another set of 18-year-old kids.
I don't think they'll buy it.
Okay.
Because it's so serious. It's so serious now. Like college football it's so much more than like look. It's like who's a good example of a guy who's just like it's hard to just be a delegator now. Like you have to have a thing. You have to have a thing that you are excellent at. You can't just be a guy who's like coaching the assistants. Like you have to have really good ideas. And I don't know that he does. And if the players just see a coach walking around and wandering around and giving his little words of wisdom and then move on, like they don't respect that. Like I wouldn't respect it. Like there are so many smart people in football now, and it's like we have a coach who
the shtick won't work.
Like doesn't know what the jerseys look like. Like doesn't know like we're the Sun Devils. Like they showed him a clip. They gave him a jersey, and he's like, "What is this little kid jersey?" And they were like, "No, that's the jersey." He's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, it's just it stretches, and they put it on, but the players like they like it when it's tight." He's like, "They wear this?" Like he doesn't. It's like he
doesn't get it.
Yeah,
he's out of touch.
And like maybe at first it's like cute, but it's not so cute when you're.
It'll wear thin.
Yeah, it's my opinion.
Okay, you helping me through this.
Yeah,
like I said, this wasn't a fully formed idea.
I think he's going to be. I mean, I think
it'll abomination.
I think it'll be fun and entertaining. I think it's going to be a poop show.
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
So I just couldn't live in a world with Arizona State, Arizona, UCLA, Utah. Utah has a better coach than USC.
That is true.
So, I just couldn't live in a world where the coaching staffs of, 6 or 5 or 4, because USC is one of them. So 4 of these.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing about Kyle Whittingham for Utah is he can do the crazy like going on 4th down all the time stuff, right? He can do that at Utah because if it doesn't work, it's like Utah, right? They don't have a freaking message board. Like they don't have a Utah.
Like, well, they're not getting a better coach either.
Well, no, right, and no one says like, oh, they went crazy on Utah Twitter today. Like, that doesn't happen. But, like, if you start pulling some, like, goofy fourth down, going for it all the time at USC and it doesn't work, and you got Scott Wolf, you got Ryan Abraham, I mean, you have us talking about it. Like,
it's a problem. It's a national problem.
There are no two guys who have a random Utah football podcast.
I'm going to find them.
Doesn't happen. So they probably do, and it's probably better.
Of course, everybody's got a podcast.
They do. They totally
Not the
do.
point.
I don't know what I'm saying.
Not the point. I know what you mean, though.
Not the point. Yeah. So it's like Kyle Whittingham. He's a better coach.
Words.
He's a better coach than Clay Helton, but he wouldn't do the job. So.
Okay. Let's see. Pac-12 South coaching, players leaving the pros, Senior Bowl, Notre Dame guys getting kicked off the team. I think we hit all our bases.
Amazingly, we did it. It's done.
True professionals.
Oh.
All right. Well, follow Greg on Twitter, Greg2126. Follow him at uhnd.com. He keeps you up to date on everything Notre Dame related.
That's right.
If you follow him on Twitter, you're going to see lots of refereeing complaints because officials are the scourge. Or Greg Pulmong's the scourge of officiating.
Look, don't get mad at me.
I'm not. I'm just stating facts that you like good officiating. You haven't seen it, according to you haven't seen it lately. You like fair and quality officiating.
I do like that. And just for the record, my friend Michael is talking about the Patriots. This is all that I don't think that that's the thing. People are like, oh, if the NFL was into it. No. I don't think the NFL is trying to throw the games for the Pats. The NFL, just like any other thing, whether it's the NBA or an NFL, they ref towards a close game. That's what they do. They ref towards a close game. So if a team is down double digits, then suddenly something that's pass or that's not pass interference looks a little bit more like pass interference. And if something doesn't look like pass interference, then they will call it. So that's all I'm saying.
Hey, you talk about the refs in this podcast too. Don't worry.
I will.
You're a fair referee criticizer.
Okay.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Okay.
Anyway, so Greg2126, referee critiques, Notre Dame information. Follow us anywhere you see podcasts. Tell your friends, share the links. We'd appreciate it. It's the summer. Who knows what's next? Our next big one for sure will be recruiting day, signing day.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll definitely see. We probably have 2 weeks. I'm pretty sure there'll be something in between.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you for listening and fight on.
Go Irish.